Let's use right triangle trig to find an angle. So we're going to review our 3 right triangle trig ratios, and then we'll use those to find a missing angle of our triangle. Let's get ready. You're going to need notes, pencil, and a calculator. Definitely a calculator because I'm going to show you some new buttons. So in our review, remember we have SOHCAHTOA that will help us remember which sides go with which ratio. So our sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Our cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent doesn't use hypotenuse, it's opposite over adjacent. So when we're trying to find an angle, from the angle, the unknown angle, you still have to determine which parts you have or are looking for, opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. Then you figure out which ratio you're going to use, sine, cosine, or tangent. We'll set up a proportion and solve, and we'll round to 2 decimal places. So we do need to find new calculator buttons when you don't know what the angle is. So before we may have had something like sine 32 equals x over 4. Now we're going to have something like sine of angle A equals 3 over 5. And we don't know the angle. So we can't just divide by sine because it's sine of A. Those go together. So in order to undo sine, I have to take the inverse. So inverse sine of 3/5 is going to equal angle A. That's the notation for inverse. So to the -1 is inverse. So we need to find that on our calculator. And let me get another color here. It is right here, and anything that's in the yellow writing, we need to use the yellow button. So on the pink calculators, you would hit the second button first and then the sine button, and that will do inverse sine. So you would do second sine, and then you would do 3 divided by 5 to find what the angle is. On our graphing calculators, same idea. We're looking for that sine to the -1. It's right above our sine, but this time you have to hit the blue button, the second button. So you hit that first, then you hit sine, and then you would do 3/5. So let's jump right in. I'm going to switch colors again. And here I don't know what angle A is. That's what we're asked to find. So I'm going to look at what I have. I have opposite and hypotenuse, which means I'm going to be using sine. So I'm going to say the sine of A equals 26 over 43. I don't know what A is, so I'm going to say angle A equals the inverse sine of that fraction. And then on your calculator button, you would just hit inverse first, or it's the second button first, sorry. Second button first, then sine, then the fraction, and you should get 37 degrees. If you don't get that, check the mode because we want to be in degrees, not radians. Let's look here at angle R. We don't know what angle R is. I have opposite and hypotenuse, so this is another sine ratio. So I'm going to say the sine of R equals opposite, which is 15 over 46. I'm trying to get to angle R, so angle R equals the inverse sine of 15/46. Do that on the calculator, oops, R, and you should get 19 degrees. As a reminder, with the angles, we can round to the whole number. Let's look at this example. We're looking at angle T, and that means I have adjacent and hypotenuse. So this time we're going to use the cosine ratio. So I'm going to say cosine of angle T equals my adjacent, which is 19.15 over 25. I need to use inverse, so angle T equals cosine inverse, inverse cosine of that fraction. On the calculator, it tells me that angle T will be about 40 degrees. Go to my angle, and again I have adjacent and hypotenuse, which is cosine. So the cosine of P equals 18 over 28. So angle P equals the inverse cosine of 18 over 28. And you should get from your calculator that this angle is about 50 degrees. Looking at angle A, again, to always orientate yourself first, we're looking at the opposite and the adjacent. So that means I'm using tangent this time. So I'm going to do tangent of angle A equals 20 over 15. I want to solve for angle A, so I need the inverse tangent of 20 over 15. And now that I did it on my paper wrong, I have the wrong answer, so I will let you figure out what that is, because I don't know without my calculator. And here we have angle R, and going across I have opposite, which is 15, and adjacent, which is 46. So I set it up so it's tangent of R equals 15 over 46. Angle R equals inverse tangent of 15/46. This one I did do out correctly, so I have it as 18 degrees. So just like when we were trying to find a side, go to where you are, figure out what two pieces you have so you can figure out which ratio you're going to use. When you're finding the angle, you need to use the inverse trig, and with angles, we're going to round to whole numbers. Nice job.